Hi, I just wanted to give you a few tips on installing your PPS system. All the PPS systems come with a top bar clamp, and there are 9 total holes, starting with number 1 at the far right, and the last number 9 is where your A-frame will go. So there's a long way in between them. The groupings that you have at this spot, we just, for the ease of convenience, call them 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and number 1 is always going to be to the far right of your installation. The only reason that that makes a difference is if you have a different machine. The A plate is a 6-inch long plate, and you'll see that the holes line up with that. Now, there are different holes you can use. On my particular machine, I'm using the second hole on the clamping plate. So if I move that over, and you'll see that I'm using hole number 6. So that's on my bottom, and you really don't need to worry about what's on the bottom, but we've given you enough holes so that if there's anything underneath your machine, that part of it, that's what we want to make sure that we don't hit anything. If you happen to have a Gamel machine, the Gamel has a different clamping system that has just 2 holes on it, and one of those holes is recessed. That's where the bolt head actually fits in. So it will sit the flat surface on top and the recess to the bottom, and there's also a locking grip washer that you'll put inside of there, and that kind of helps so that the head doesn't turn when you're tightening it down. There's also a C-clamp, and this is for the users of domestic machines and also like a Tin Lizzie. Again, we have recessed holes, lock washers, and those recesses go underneath. If you have a domestic machine, there's also just a flat bar, and that fits up to the front of your machine underneath. Because of the way that your carriage is, we need it to be, your machine to be level. So you need one in the back and one in the front. Once you have the top attached, you want to make sure of a couple things. When you first put on your top bar, you want to just ever so slightly put a nut onto the bottom of the bolt in hole 1, and then turn it around to the side, and then finger tighten whichever hole meets the closest to your machine itself, so that this bolt is the first one that you finger tighten, and then just give a couple of turns with your 1/2-inch wrenches. The number 1 bolt is the bolt that you want to tighten down so that you don't get any flex back and forth from this direction. This, if you tighten the bolts over here too far, what you're going to do is you're going to end up leaning this bar down, and you don't want to do that. You want to tighten it down with this so that there's no flex in it. From that point, once you have your clamp and your bar attached, we're going to move over to the hardware for our A-frame. Your A-frame came assembled, and your A-frame has bolts and nuts that let you adjust the height. You have a couple choices. If your laser fits onto the standard, if your laser fits onto this standard bar, then you don't have to do anything. If this bar is too long, you can always just cut this bar off to whatever length that you need. You also were given hardware so that once your A-frame is together, that you can mount your laser on the inside of your A-frame if you need to. So let's go ahead and attach our A-frame. I'll use the standard I'll use the standard bolt instead of the short, and you'll want to take your nut, go ahead and put it all the way down to the bottom, and that will go up into this hole. So slide it through your A-frame, up into the hole and put your acorn nut on. You will want to tighten this later, but for now we'll just finger tighten it. But you do want to make sure that that is really tight so it doesn't flex on you when you're actually moving the handles. Now just set your handles onto the table, and what you'll find is that you're going to have a left and a right, and I want to take the closest that I can possibly get to the table. And I'm going to move that one down. So my adjustment for the arms are different on every machine. And all I want to do is just come back over, find any open hole, just so that you have 2 bolts on each handle. And do the same on this side. Your handles are angled, so you, like I said, you want to be just over the top of the table, ever so slightly. You really don't want to have to you don't want to have to be reaching up on your handlebars. So we'll get that on there. We'll tighten down our A-frame so that there's no give to our handles. Now you're just down to attaching the laser and you're ready to go. My laser from APQS happens to be one like this. So all I have to do is just slide it on, plug it in, and adjust it. That's it. You're ready to go.